couple of years ago, it came as a surprise to all of us anyway that the New York Times ran quotes by its sources. In other words, giving the source quote approval. That practice has since been banned. Now, though, we've learned through hacked emails that Times columnist Maureen Dowd recently showed a whole column to the very people she was writing about. When a shadowy group calling itself Guardians of Peace carried out a massive email hack on Sony Pictures, they must have known they'd find some juicy stuff. And right they were.
Don't put stuff in email. Why do people do that? I don't understand that.
Everybody does it.
It's insane.
Some of the emails are from Sony co-chair Amy Pascal, who writes to producer Scott Rudin that she's going to meet President Obama. Should I ask him if he liked Django? 12 years, Rudin responds. The butler, Pascal fires back, and it didn't stop there. Meanwhile, the hackers were very shrewd.
They turned off a lot of the alarms, so Sony had no idea that their data was leaving the company.
Some of that data included emails between New York Times columnist Maureen Dowd and Amy Pascal's husband, Bernard Weinraub, a former New York Times entertainment reporter. Weinraub emails his wife that Dowd wants to talk to her about the lack of women in the film industry. I'm not talking to her if she's going to slam me. Then Dowd emails Pascal directly, writing, I would make sure you look great and we check it all and do it properly. That apparently included sending the column in question to Amy Pascal's husband before it hit the newspaper. You can't tell a single person that I'm seeing the column before it's printed. It's not done. Well, it was done, and it makes one wonder how many other times it's been done. I know, I've been like in a flabbergasted mood all afternoon here. I just found this stunning, Callie, from the unbelievable emails between Amy Pascal and Scott Rudin. It's like, what were they thinking? Writing that stuff down. And then Maureen Dowd, once again, putting it in writing, even if she was going to show this thing to him in advance and promising Amy Pascal that you're going to make her look good because, oh, she's a woman in film and, oh, she's done all the right things with her films. It's everybody else that has screwed up over the years. It's just nauseating.
I'm shocked. I know. And you think when people get that high up, somebody like Maureen Dowd, then there would be less need for her. And actually, I'm not sure there was a need. Just because it seems as though she had the relationship with Weinraub and just wanted to keep it friendly. That's the only thing I can get from this. I'm completely confused by what was the... and the story itself was pretty good. As you know.
I don't even know why anyone reads Maureen Dowd anymore. I just don't. I mean, I feel like she's lacked credibility for a long time. Think of her. She was the one who had the famous anecdote about John Kerry, who among us does not love NASCAR.
She made it up.
She made it up. She made it up. And the reason that she made it up is because it fit, this idea that was out there. I don't think she's had credibility for a while. I will say, as disgusting as the content of some of these emails is, and I'm thinking in particular of the racist emails about the president, there is an interesting discussion to be had here about how quick we should be in the media to traffic in information that was obtained illicitly. Should we put it out there? What's the test that needs to be met for it to be put out there? I guess in the case of those racist emails, you could say, okay, these are higher-ups making decisions that sort of determine the course of popular culture. It's newsworthy that they feel this way. But a lot of this other stuff, I'm not sure meets the newsworthiness test.
Well, that did. The Maureen Dowd stuff does.
Right.
That's journalistic malfeasance.
I think the thing that happens, though, with stories like this is that everything lends credibility. It sort of builds on top of it. And so all the information that's in these emails are largely of interest to people that are in the industry. They're in the industry mags, Variety, Hollywood Reporter. But once it starts bumping up higher and higher, that gives other organizations a reason to cover it. So that's when you see the New York Times picking up on this stuff. Overall, do we want to know about the infighting and the sniping that's going on between executives and starlets? No, we don't. We don't really care.
Some of us do.
Okay, maybe a little bit.
I love that swipe at Angela.
And let's be fair. I mean, obviously, secrets and insider knowledge is what TMZ has built an empire off of. So, we can't just automatically dismiss it. Now, at the same time, again, I think that once these things get out, that gives everybody else license to say, well, if somebody else did it, then we can start writing about it as well.
Of course, I think it was North Korea that actually broke into this because of a film that...
Well, that's
they're
what they're
still
saying.
denying it. Right?
That's what they're saying.
I love that.
you know, listen, it's not my business to know all that stuff, Justin, just to be clear, but I am interested in it.
But let's be honest, though, as journalists, isn't it our business to try to get information from people that they don't want to tell us? So in some way, this is kind of an extension of that.
Since I agree with all of you, let me bring up something completely different about this story. Sony did a horrendous job of protecting their data. And there's a report out today that something like 50,000 Social Security numbers with the names attached to them were part of this. And in fact, the report that I read suggested that perhaps this really isn't North Korea. These are cyber criminals, and they're trying to point the finger at North Korea because they're going to make very good use of these Social Security numbers.
Well, I have to say that 60 Minutes just did a huge piece on this, and it was pretty scary about how hard it is for corporations to do it. So they said that Sony didn't do some basic things, but I'm not sure if that's true.
I just wanted to go back to a point Justin made about, you know, we're supposed to be digging out information, pulling out information that people don't want out there. What is the, do we here think we have a sense of what is legit and what isn't? I mean, you had that, you know, the nude photo hacking scandal. And I think, I would agree, like, you know, news outlets should not be printing those materials.
Well, it's got to be in the public interest, but that's a hard thing to define.
A lot of people find nude pictures interesting.
Yeah, but that can be a sex crime too. So how do you judge this? Remember those emails that got sent out between the countries with Angela Merkel? I mean, that's in the same kind of tone as nasty snipes at Angela Jolie. How do you weigh that?
She's ahead of state.
But it's all about your intended audience. I mean, you know, Hollywood would like to think that it's a center of power on par with Washington, D.C. They're both empires that are built on secrecy and sort of projecting authority. And so in that case, depending on what your audience is, it's important.